Hey guys, my name is Sarah Gamble and my presentation is on mononucleosis. So just some background information. Mononucleosis is most commonly referred to as mono, but it's also referred to as the kissing disease and glandular fever. Glandular fever was the original name given to the disease by a group of German doctors in the 1880s, and this was because the infection caused the glands and lymph nodes to swell. But it wasn't until 1920 when Thomas B. Sprunt and Frank A. Evans gave the disease the name infectious mononucleosis. Then in 1932, researchers Paul and Bunnell made a discovery which enabled doctors to more accurately diagnose infectious mononucleosis. Then in 1964, a group of doctors, Anthony Epstein, Barr, and Acom, discovered a virus which we now refer to as the Epstein-Barr virus, and then they identified it as a member of the herpes family. Then in 1968, Gertrude and Werner Henle discovered the link between this Epstein-Barr virus and mononucleosis. And fun fact, it was because a lab technician, or laboratory technician, was working with Epstein-Barr virus and contracted mono. Pretty funny. Epstein-Barr virus is the most common cause of mononucleosis, although it can cause other illnesses, and other viruses can also cause mono, such as cytomegalovirus, toxoplasmosis, hepatitis A, B, or C, HIV, rubella, and adenovirus. Most people will get infected with the Epstein-Barr virus in their lifetime and will not exhibit any symptoms. These viruses are most commonly spread through bodily fluids, especially saliva, but can also be spread through blood and semen through sexual contact, blood transfusions, and organ transplants. Mono is most common among teenagers and young adults, specifically high school and college students who range in ages 15 to 24. 1 in 4 teenagers that get infected with the Epstein-Barr virus will also develop infectious mono. So mono affects about 45 out of 100,000 people. Those with weakened immune systems are also at a higher risk of contracting the disease after becoming infected with the virus. After age 35, however, the rate of infection is pretty low because about 90% of adults have already been exposed to the Epstein-Barr virus and have produced antibodies, meaning they're pretty much immune to the virus, or at least at a lower risk of infection than others, so they're less likely to develop mononucleosis. Symptoms of mono include extreme fatigue, fever, chills, weakness, sore throat, which is often a severe symptom, headaches, body aches, swollen tonsils, swollen lymph nodes, especially in the neck, but also in the armpits and the groin occasionally, rash, swollen liver or spleen, or even both. This is less likely to occur, but if it does, it could lead to further implications. Symptoms typically appear 4 to 6 weeks after infected with Epstein-Barr virus. Symptoms may develop slowly or not all occur at the same time, but they could last a few days or as long as several months. But in most cases, they go away in about 2 to 6 weeks. So I included this diagram on the left because it gives us a visual of what we've been talking about. So Epstein-Barr virus, again, is the most common cause of mono. And then in the bottom left corner, we get a visual of what lymphocytes, how they're affected, what they'd look like if we were to look at them under the microscope. So at the bottom, we see what a normal lymphocyte looks like, a healthy one. And then at the top, we see an atypical or infected lymphocyte. And also, a visual way to diagnose mono would be to open the mouth and look down the throat to see the swollen glands. And if you notice in the picture on the right, there's also this white pus-like substance that is seen on the glands. And that is another indicator that this person has mono. You can also feel right here, just under the jaw, you can feel the lymph nodes, and if they're swollen, you can kind of feel like a bulge, but that's, of course, another indicator that your lymph nodes are swollen. So what's going on? What is the virus actually doing in our body? How are we developing mono from this virus? So the Epstein-Barr virus will infect the B cells in the oropharyngeal epithelium, so in this area. And then circulating B cells will spread the infection throughout the entire reticular endothelial system, so the liver, spleen, lymph nodes. Then the Epstein-Barr virus infection of the B lymphocytes will result in a humoral and cellular immune response. So the humoral immune response directed against the Epstein-Barr virus's structural proteins will be the basis for the test used to diagnose mono. So basically, we're going to go into the doctor's office, list the symptoms we've been having. They'll take a look at us, of course, look down the throat, feel around the neck for swollen lymph nodes. If they're unsure of what to make of if they're just unsure, they may take some sample of your blood to just to see how your body's fighting off this disease, as well as what the lymphocytes look like. However, the cellular immune response is essential in the control of this viral infection. So the natural killer cells, cytotoxic T cells, are going to control the reproduction of these B lymphocytes that have been infected with the virus. As far as prevention goes, there is no vaccine to protect against infectious mononucleosis. But on a positive note, the virus isn't usually spread through the air, so someone who has mono doesn't need to be isolated. However, if you're around someone who has mono, you should refrain from sharing drinks, food, or personal items such as lip gloss, toothbrushes, toothpaste, eating utensils, cups. You should, in general, you should refrain from sharing these items, but especially if someone has mono, you should refrain from sharing them because, again, saliva is the most common mode of transmission. So as far as treatment goes, there are no antibiotics to treat mono. So you should refrain from strenuous activity, especially contact sports and heavy lifting, because if your spleen did swell, did become enlarged, then this type of activity could cause it to rupture. You should also drink fluids to stay hydrated, get plenty of rest, and you could take pain relievers such as acetaminophen, so Tylenol, ibuprofen, Advil, to reduce pain or fever. But again, no antibiotics can solely treat mono. That's all I have for you. I hope you enjoyed this presentation and learned something new. If you have any questions, I'll see you on Monday.